Welcome to the, I have to say, first corporate wisdom lecture on innovation topic. The reason why it's the first one, because we kind of rebranded this one. It's a kind of, it wasn't called corporate wisdom, but now it's you are the first one kind of opening the corporate wisdom one on innovation management. So that's kind of very special. I think that you have a lot of information about Sofi in the booklet, so I'm not necessarily going to introduce her kind of separately, but I would like to mention just two things that put this kind of visit and this presentation in the context. First of all, this lecture is a part of the major project Labs and Ericsson won recently, the European funded project, and we will work on a research in this area, which Sofi is going to talk about today. So that's a bit unusual. Usually speakers are not necessarily connected in research with us, but in this case that's something what shows that we are trying to do a lot of research together with the companies in order to create an impact. The other one, which is quite interesting, as you can see, Sofi is head of service system research at Ericsson, and that's essentially part of their R&D organization, but the part of the R&D organization which is explicitly concerned how to manage innovation management processes and actually how to, in this case, transform organization from one business model to another one. And in many ways, Sofi and her team are working as a kind of bridge with a really technology side of it and a pure business side of it. And I think that that's essentially something what is usually characteristic for innovation, that you bring these two different types of expertise together. So without further ado, I'll welcome Sofi, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. And kind of the first around corporate wisdom in innovation, that put some kind of pressure on me, I think. Well, as Krista said, my name is Sofi Elfving. I'm heading the service systems research within Ericsson, and I will go into a little bit more detail of that in the presentation as well. I had my PhD within innovation and design quite a few years ago. So it's really fun to be here and to get to present for you. And also afterwards we can have the questions and we can discuss outside as well. So I'm really looking forward to that. So, well, I will talk about business transformation through service innovation. And first question, how many of you knows about Ericsson and what we do? Don't be afraid. Have you heard about Ericsson? Yeah. How many knows what we're doing, actually?
Manufacturing some telecom machines, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Any more?
We do routers and switches.
Yeah. Usually I get it like yeah, but you're doing mobile phones. Like, yeah, but yeah, we used to do that. Okay, we sold that off to Sony, but still, and we have been huge within that area. But that's not basically the core business of what we do today, because today all of you have mobile phones, I guess, and 40% of the calls that you are doing goes through a network that we have delivered, actually. So that's basically what we do. We enable connectivity for you to connect. But we also do some other stuff, and that's what I'm supposed to talk about today, because we're in a transformation process. And we also have new customers that is transforming. So how do you actually manage this? Because this is kind of combining new innovation and also make business out of that, and at the same time try to transform a huge company. So, well, we have been 139 years within the business of telecom and started off as a pure kind of product manufacturer. And we exist around in approximately 180 countries, so pretty much all over the world. So we have kind of a quite nice global span. And also we're a little bit less than 120,000 employees. And one interesting thing to note is that about 65,000 of these people are actually delivering services for Ericsson. Although we're considered more or less a product company, 65,000 are in our service business and deliver services for us. And I will come back to that as well. And pretty much 50% of our net sales comes from the product side and 50% comes from the services side. And I will come back to that as well, because that has kind of an impact on what we're trying to do and where we come from. And I come from the service systems research area, and that is within Ericsson Research. So we have separated kind of the development part and the research part. So we have quite a few people, plus 600 people looking into research. And right now, 5G is the trending topic in research in Ericsson in general. I had this team that look into service systems research. And what is service systems? Well, it's actually combining the technology capabilities that we have already with the kind of human factors and behaviors, and together with new types of value proposition. And that forms kind of the entity of a service system. So we look into these kind of different areas and also the relation in between and see what should we do to actually take Ericsson into the future. And talking about the future, this is our vision. Our vision is a network society where every person and every industry is empowered to reach their full potential. And I was thinking that I will start to show a video. It's about 3 minutes long, about the network society, so you get a picture of how we think. Because Ericsson is big, so there's a lot of different view on the network society. But let's start off here, and then I will continue, okay?
It's hard to see when surrounded by it. Take a step back. Look around. Change is everywhere now. Change builds arenas of magic and fosters new worlds of talent. It takes hospitals to the streets and the bedridden into nature. Change measures, understands, and spurs us on. It welcomes the most distant places into its presence and the most eager students into its classrooms. It fills our lights with digital power, our language with new meaning, and the separated with hope. Change lets us steer from afar and brings knowledge anywhere. Turns empty rooms into open hotels and learning into child's play. Its most devoted minds reinvent hierarchies and industries. Wild ideas burst into big business and big dreams into reality. Change helps our planet by making smarter use of its greatest powers. It finds knowledge in waste and in the ingredients of nature. Steel boxes become smart carriers, and machines become communicators. It joins the tracks and shields our bodies. It guards the largest of giants, the deepest of forests, and our protectors in the most dangerous surroundings. Alone, each change marks progress. Combined, they transform our world. The opportunities are everywhere now. Take them.
So that was pretty much our view of the network society. And this entire video, we have kind of all the different instances, from the little baby with a connected diaper. We have done all of that. So basically, the network society for us is it's incorporated in our daily life, in everything we do and everything we want to do. So it's in every little area, I will say, that surround us. And with the network society comes with a kind of a technology shift that I will talk a little bit more of. It's also a power shift in the world right now, from the Western world to the Eastern, and that will also affect us. We have environmental kind of drivers in this. We're becoming more green or aware of green, and also the urbanization. On the other side here, we have more of the technology part. We have the Internet of Things. Everybody is talking about IoT. We are also talking about IoT. With this, it brings a lot of data and the power of data and what we can do with data. We talk about social media, cloud, and especially open innovation. And that's something that is very close related to the project that we're starting up here. So for us, this is the network society, and what we have tried to do with the video is showcase what it is for us, basically. So it could be pretty much everything. But I said that, okay, we're doing this 5G radio connectivity, but we are also doing other stuff, as you saw in the video. For instance, we're working on something that is called the connected cars. We're actually kind of providing platforms to connect cars for Volvo, for instance. And also the connected vessel together with Maersk Airlines. So we're kind of connecting the vessels out on sea. We also have connected house and connected smart metering in the kind of energy and utility sectors. So we're kind of approaching new areas and new industry, going from the kind of old way of doing business where we always work together with operators. For instance, Orange and Vodafone and these kind of companies. Now we're going into totally new different businesses. And of course we have to change, but also these companies have to change. And when we talk about society or transformation, I talk about two things, technology and society. And for me, it's basically digitization, connected to the technology, and servitization, which is more or less connected to the society, and the transformation from us living in a product economy going into more service-based economy. And we have different drivers for this. As I said before, we have the kind of green part, but we also have lean, the kind of hunt for efficiency, and also safety, which is extremely relevant when we talk about Internet of Things and IoT, privacy and security in our networks and also in our daily lives. Not at least, we can't underestimate the power of fun, that we want to be entertained when we are at work or at home as well. And these are actually drivers for both the technology development and the development in society. We will see more of an open innovation climate, more collaboration, creating new types of marketplaces, and more participation, for instance, in social media. It's much more easy to participate in this nowadays. So digitization, that enables us to go from an offline economy into a more online economy. We are being digitalized, or at least the kind of product that we use, the activities we undertake, and the services that we want to experience. So with the digitization, there's a huge opportunity technology-wise to go into something new. This is my colleague Jan Huller back at Ericsson. He's a principal researcher in Ericsson and also very dedicated person when it comes to bikes and training on bikes. So he has connected his bike actually, and this was on BBC a year or something ago where they filmed him. He was driving around our headquarters with his connected bikes, and you could see all the data on him and so on. So this is something that the digitization actually enables, and this brings us into IoT and the Internet of Things, which is one main thing we see right now. So actually with the bicycle, you could pretty much connect and get data from all of the places of the bicycle, but also yourself with the heart rate and so on. And I guess all of you in some way uses some application or some product or some services that connects to this, and that is enabled by IoT. So basically you can connect your products. So in the end, it kind of enable us to provide new types of services to consumer and customers. And it's enabled by the technology, the product, the devices, but also our kind of view on that we want to experience stuff. We're going into service economy. So this is kind of what we connect in our research, the kind of technology capabilities with the opportunities when it comes to service innovation and to create new type of business models, both for Ericsson, but also for our customers. So it's a lot about exploring. Digitalization also enable us, or it goes kind of cross or horizontally through ecosystems, because usually we're used to kind of vertical supply chains, but now it actually start with kind of, it digitalize our internal business processes. We have a lot of IT system. You have that in the university as well, or in your company. But it also goes cross company borders. So the kind of the process or the relationship between different companies are also being digitalized. And in the end also to the customer and consumer on the other side here. It enables new type of marketplaces and new platform, and we have seen quite a few of those popping up in the recent year. One example is Amazon.com that connects the consumer and the companies that want to sell stuff in a totally different way that we haven't seen today. We have Airbnb, for instance, that connect people that want to, instead of staying in a hotel, want to rent an apartment in a city with the people that have the apartment or houses. And also the hotels.com, for instance. So we see totally different types of ecosystem than we have seen before. And this also demands other things, both from the technology, but also the way we're doing business. Because before we could say, okay, we have a customer and we have suppliers, and we bring value to those. But when you have an ecosystem and everybody is depending upon each other, you have to really think what you do in the system, because it can have unforeseen consequences in some other place in the ecosystem. And you want everybody to be involved here when we go into this kind of ecosystem. And this brings us into service economy. And what is actually that? Well, basically, it's a mind shift. It's a different type of logic, how you approach and think about stuff. Some kind of key things here. It's like in a product economy, you basically talked about product and consuming product. In a service economy, you talk about the experience of a service, for instance. I talked about the value chain before. You have a supply chain in the kind of product economy, and then in the transition phase you have a value chain. You focus on value. And in a service economy, we talk about ecosystem or value ecosystem, just what I talked about with the marketplace. And also when it comes to, this is quite interesting, in a product economy we talk about value add. And that's also what you usually talk about when you come from manufacturing. My background is from manufacturing, both from ABB and Volvo. And there you talk about adding value in the production process and then shipping to customer. basically. When we go into service-based economy, it's much more focused on value as co-created together with the customer. And that means that, okay, it's not enough to just kind of listen to the customer, what we should do in the future, what we should focus on, what products and services we should actually deliver. We need to really understand the customer deeply, and also the customer's customer. So basically, it's a mind shift, and this takes time. I come from the kind of manufacturing area, and I'm an engineer as well, although I work with like the service and service innovation part. So I had a few years that I have been kind of struggling with this mindset as well, that each time I go into discussion, I want to have the kind of service economy mindset, because that brings totally new things to the table when it comes to research. So mindset, but it's not easy, and it's also based in our organizational culture. And to go back to Ericsson, we are a technology company in an economy that is going towards becoming a service economy. So that means also that we have some challenges ahead. Because we have products that are being commoditized like all other companies and so on. So what can we actually do to stay ahead of competitors and also be kind of be key in this value network together with our customers in the future? Well, basically, we have done a tremendous journey within Ericsson. We have been in the business quite a few years now. But what we started off with, and what we kind of consider ourselves to be, is a product company, and a product-focused company. And that's where we started off. And then we started to kind of, as most product companies do, when the product mature and the technology mature, we add on product near services, like repair services, maintenance services, quite manual stuff, or product-based services that we call it. Next step, we went into more process-based services, like for instance our managed services, where we actually take over the network from our customers and operate it from our network operation centers. So that's extremely advanced services that kind of demands really high-tech solutions from our side to be able to deliver value to the customer. At the end here, we have something called product service system, it says. And with the product service system, we mean that you develop products and services in such an integrated manner that for the customer it feels like it's one solution, one experience. It doesn't matter what products and services there is in there, but it's one solution. And this is extremely difficult to do when you are a product company. And sometimes we're kind of succeeding in this, but not always. We have problem industrialize this, as other companies has as well. But this is kind of one way to approach these challenges that comes with going from a product economy to a service economy. And this, of course, this transformation has been enabled by digitization. Because when you start to connect things, then you also can start to kind of deliver digitalized services in a much broader way than you have done before, and also increase the volumes. So this is a pyramid, very academic, but I use it because it's quite good to kind of explain the different journeys that manufacturing companies or product-based companies do in this. And we started off here, and then we started to climb the pyramid, as quite a few companies actually do. Some companies decide to start here and go over to the service area here, and that's perfectly fine, but you need to understand and decide on what strategy you have. And I will say today we're somewhere here in the servitization process. And what we have encountered is a transformation ceiling. And this we can see also when I do research together with universities and also together with other companies, that it's pretty much the same ceiling that we encounter. And basically one thing is that we have something that is called path dependency. And we have a background from a product company, and that will also kind of, it will kind of decide what decisions we take in the future. And you might say like, yeah, but of course, your product company, of course, that will kind of influence how you take decision in the future. Yeah, that's one thing, but you need to be aware of this path dependency, and we're not always aware of it. We think that we're very like, yeah, of course, no, we're not kind of focusing on that we have this product heritage. So first of all, like, be aware of that path dependence. Secondly, in this is that we actually have different cultures within the organization. We have very kind of product-focused organizational culture and also service culture. I've heard in interviews people kind of explaining that's, you know, the product side, they are nerds, while the services side, they're more like cowboys. So that's how we do business, and that's why also it kind of clashes sometimes, of course. And sometimes we're like, yeah, but we should be the same. No, we should not be the same. We just need to find a way to kind of interact together and kind of respect each other in that we come from different areas. And then to have kind of a joint focus going ahead. And that brings me into the third thing that you can actually do to kind of go through this transformation ceiling, and that's joint KPIs and targets. That's kind of one of the major things that both academia and business talking about when we're talking about this today, because most of the time you have like different profit and loss responsibilities in the organization or different targets, and it's a matter of going back to basic. Okay, what is the joint target? Is it to deliver a product service system and one solution? Yes, okay, let's set the targets on the level so it kind of steers towards that as well. So there's a few things that companies can start off with, what we have seen at least in our research, and also that we want to do, but it's not easy at all. So this is actually the offering, how you kind of transform when it comes to the offering. But is that enough, really, to overcome the challenges of today and also to kind of reap all the benefits out of the digitization and the Internet of Things and so on? Most probably not, because as all offerings, it can become commoditized. You know, commoditized when a product, it doesn't matter about the kind of level of quality, it's just the price, and then you go into eroding prices and so on, and lowering margins. That's commoditization. That can happen to product, but it can also happen to services. Because if you sell services per hour, for instance, it's not so sure that it matters who is or what consultancy firm you buy from. It's commoditized. You can buy these type of services from any company. So this can happen both to products and services. So this is something, the offering needs to be combined with something else to be able to kind of, be a little bit better. And we usually talk about transforming the value proposition. And have you kind of had the chance to look at the business model canvas, Osterwalder's book? I guess few of you have done that, and he talks about value proposition. And it's a very good book, and it's very kind of easy to understand. So we use that sometimes when we talk to our business to make sure that we differ between value proposition and the actual offering. Because with the value proposition, you can have three different phases, I would say, how you deliver that. The ownership-based is where most kind of manufacturing-based or product-based companies comes from. That means that you design, develop, produce, and sell a product. You hand that product over to the customer, and also the risk you hand over to the customer. You get paid up front, and then we're fine. But as I said, this actually can be commoditized quite easily when you have mature enough technology. On the other hand, you can go into more use-based model, and that's what you see today with the cloud. It's enabled by cloud technology and digitization. So the use-based model is more about availability. So if you want to rent something, is the kind of a simple example of this. So you don't buy it, you kind of lease or rent it for a certain amount of money. And this is also what we see happening in our business. Some customers ask for use-based model, and we also push that in some cases. In other cases, the market is not mature enough, so then you need to stay in the kind of ownership-based value proposition and with another type of product or service offering. It's one thing to go from ownership-based to use-based. The third one is more result-based or outcome-based value proposition. And then we talk about situation where you can actually, as a company, you can promise a certain outcome for your customer and maybe a certain profit. And then you take a percentage of that profit because it's the value in what you say is so high for the customer. So it doesn't matter how much money it is, it's more the percentage that is important. But to go there, you need to have kind of a extremely focus on value and value co-creation together with the customer. And you need to kind of have all the data in place. You need to know your customer's customer better than they do themselves. And that's extremely challenging. But if you combine the kind of transformation in offering with the transformation in value proposition, then you have a good basis to actually innovate when it comes to new business models. And what we have done is actually doing this kind of service innovation transformation over the year, becoming a more service-oriented company and combining that with our products. And that has enabled us to go into new types of businesses, new type of business models as well. This is a little bit of a techie picture, but I will kind of lead you through it. You know, still I'm a little bit of a techie person. But with this picture, I would like to explain how the kind of new value proposition and business model connects with the technology, because that's where we quite often fail. We talk about, okay, this is the new business model we should have and so on, and then you kind of work on the technology side, and it's like, okay, how do we fit this together? So usually I kind of, okay, let's start here, the value proposition that you just see. So that depending on the value proposition that you want to deliver, on the way you want to deliver the value proposition, you need certain capabilities to be able to deliver that. And that needs, of course, to be combined with different types of services. And this is kind of how advanced services, you can have support and maintenance, managed services, or adoption services. If you want to sell adoption services, it means that you need to have an extremely connected product, because you need to collect data, you need to analyze the data, and you need to do kind of automated sales and stuff like that. That is usually not kind of common practice within our business, but still. And the kind of there goes the result-based model. That's where you enable yourself to go into other types of value propositions. And to make sure, you also need certain capabilities to deliver this. And the further up you go here, you need to increase the level of automation. Because with digitalization and so on, and with service economy, we will see that the volume on the offering that we have will go up, but maybe the price of it will go down. So basically you need to automate this chain because no person can actually deliver the amount of volume you want to have. So looking at, for instance, Amazon.com, they have a lot of automation in the in the background to enable you to buy the right books and so on. So it's all connected, and now I'm kind of simplifying it a little bit, but it's one way to actually make clear and to be clear how you can use kind of service innovation, how you want to innovate in services, connect that to the different technological capabilities of your companies, and then start to look into new type of business models. So basically, this is what it means. It's like you have the offering, you have the products and services. You can have different levels of services, more or less product agnostic. The most product agnostic services is just consultancy services. That doesn't matter what type of product you have. With the connected product, we talked about IoT. You need some kind of embedded intelligence to make this happen. You have the automation and the different degree of autonomy in your product. And then connect that to the value proposition that you kind of propose for your customer. And in this way, you can start to focus on value in another way. And we're used to focus on products and services and be leading in products and services. What we emphasize with this kind of thing is actually we want to be leaders in delivering value to customer. And we talk about value leadership in our team just to kind of have the view of that we want to deliver one solution to the customer and not separate products and services, basically. So what I want you to take from here is that, okay, value leadership, is this the next thing, or is it just a way of kind of looking at things? From our perspective, it's extremely important to have this view, to be aware that, okay, we're a product company, but we need to think in different ways to be able to stay competitive in the future as well. And then I can't say that we're doing all of this on kind of a global and global basis, but still we have the thinking, and I know other companies also have this thinking. So that's, I think it's an extremely fun area to work in also, and I hope some of you also will join the kind of telecom area in the future, because we need people like you from the business schools and so on. And that's also why we're having this project together with you here. So with that, I will actually like to say thank you for listening to me. And yeah, any questions that you have, you're welcome, and see if I can answer. Thank you.